I want to start today with a question, and I want you to sit with it just for a second before you answer. When you think about the word Montessori, what comes to mind? Be honest. For most people, it's a visual, beautiful wooden shelves, a tray with small glass pitchers, natural light, a child sitting peacefully, completely absorbed, totally unaware that the camera is on them. So it looks like the interior design. It looks like a specific kind of a home. It looks like something you either have it or don't. And here's what that image has quietly done to millions of mothers. It had turned a 100-year-old scientific argument about how human beings develop into a lifestyle trend, into something to create, into something to feel behind on. That is the opposite of what it is. And today we're going to fix that because I think the reason most parents never fully commit to this philosophy, the reason it stays a Pinterest board instead of becoming a way of life is not laziness. It is not lack of interest either. It is that nobody ever made the actual argument. Nobody said, here is the science, here is the anthropology, here is what actually is happening inside your child's body and brain right now. And here is why it matters more than anything else you will ever do as a parent. Welcome to the early years. I'm Anna Garcia, and today we are making the argument. But first, let me tell you something about Maria Montessori that most people have never been told. She wasn't a warm-souled, idealistic woman who loved children and wanted to create a classroom. No, she was a scientist. Italy's first female physician. She worked in psychiatric hospitals, observing children who had been written off entirely. Children with severe developmental challenges, children who were kept in bare rooms with almost no stimulation and told essentially that they could not learn. And she watched them closely, the way a scientist would watch. And what she saw was not disability. What she saw was deprivation. She saw children reaching for the world around them and finding nothing to reach for. Children whose innate drive to touch, to order, to make sense of things had been systematically ignored. So she built an environment that met those drives. And those children thrived. Now, here is why that matters for you sitting in your home right now. That drive she was observing, it is not something some children have and others don't. It's not something that comes with a particular toy set or a particular home or a particular budget. No, it is biological. It is evolutionary. It is in your child right now, today, whether or not you have a single piece of Montessori material in your home. Montessori's entire framework was not a philosophy she invented. It was one she uncovered. She was describing something that was already there, something that anthropologists now recognize as one of the most remarkable features of the human species, the extended period of childhood and the extraordinary learning that happens inside it. Let me explain what I mean. Here is something most parents have never been told, and once you hear it, you will not be able to unhear it. Humans have the longest childhood of any species on Earth by a significant margin. A foal can walk within hours of birth. A baby elephant is mobile within days. Even our closest primate relatives reach developmental maturity far faster than human children did. So why? Why would evolution produce a species whose youngs are so completely dependent and for so long? The answer is the brain. The human brain is the most complex structure in the known universe, and it cannot be fully formed before birth. It is simply too large, too intricate, too layered. So nature made a deal. Human babies arrive early by the standards of their full developmental potential. And then the world becomes the womb. The first 6 years of life are not just important, they are, from an evolutionary standpoint, the continuation of a developmental process that began before birth. Dr. Maria Montessori called this period the absorbent mind. And she was describing something real. During these years, the brain does not learn the way it will later in life. It does not sit and study and memorize. It absorbs. It pulls in language, patterns, rhythms, emotions, order, sensations without effort and without fatigue. The way a sponge does not decide to absorb water, it simply does, because that is its nature. Neuroscience research shows that by age 3, a child's brain has already reached roughly 80% of its adult size. By age 5, can you guess? It is 90% grown. Let that land for a moment. What fuels that growth? Experience, sensory input, relationships, challenge at the right level, repetition that the child chooses. That is not a parenting trend. This is biology. And here's the part that should stop you in your tracks. This window closes. Not completely, learning continues throughout life, of course, but the particular quality of absorption that exists in the first 6 years, the effortlessness, the depth, the speed, does not come back. Montessori called them sensitive periods, windows of time when a child is naturally primed to absorb a specific skill effortlessly. Windows that are time specific in a way that nothing else in human development is. That is why a 3-year-old can pick up a second language with an accent indistinguishable from a native speaker, and why an adult working twice as hard will never fully replicate that result. The window for that specific kind of acquisition has narrowed. This is not meant to frighten you. I want you to hear it the way I hear it, as information, as opportunity, as the reason the choices you make right now in this ordinary Tuesday mornings with your child are not small. They are the highest leverage parenting you will ever do. So, how did we get here? How did a framework built on evolutionary biology and neuroscience become something we scroll past on Instagram and either feel inspired by or quietly intimidated by? I have thought about this a lot. And I think it happened for a predictable reason. When something complex and research-based gets translated for mainstream consumption, the depth gets stripped out first. What is left is the surface, the image, the aesthetics. Montessori got translated into wooden toys, neutral colors, low shelves. And it's not wrong. Those things are real, but they are the expression of the philosophy, not the philosophy itself. They are what it looks like, not what it is. Here's an analogy. Imagine you saw a photo of a highly trained surgeon. You noticed the way they wore a white coat, kept a clean workspace, used specific tools, and from those photos, you concluded surgery is about white coats and clean workspaces. That would miss everything that matters. The tools serve the work. The work is what changes lives. Montessori is a framework for understanding what your child's brain is doing at every stage of development, and then building an environment, a rhythm, a relationship that works with that biology instead of against it. The shelf is just a shelf. The philosophy is why certain materials live in it, why the child accesses them independently, why you step back instead of intervening, why that moment of deep concentration you are witnessing is one of the most neurologically significant things your child can do. That is what we lost in the translation when Montessori became an aesthetic. And that is what I want to give back to you today. Let me bring this home, because I know you're not here for a lecture. You are here because you want to raise your child well, and you are doing it inside a real life with real constraints and a real level of exhaustion that nobody fully prepares you for. So what does understanding this actually change? It changes the question you're asking. When Montessori is an aesthetic, the question is, do I have the right stuff? Do my shelves look right? Am I doing the activities correctly? When Montessori is a philosophy, the question becomes, what does my child need right now in this stage of development? What is the brain ready for? How can I structure this environment, this day, this interaction to meet that? That second question is one you can answer. No matter your budget, no matter your home, no matter whether today is going beautifully or whether someone has been crying since 7 a.m. Because the philosophy is portable. It lives in how you see your child, not in what you buy for them. When you hand your child a small rag to wipe up their own spill instead of doing it yourself, that is not a cleaning strategy. That is you responding to your child's sensitive period for practical life. Competence, contribution, the feeling of capability. When you slow down and let them button their own coat, even though it takes 4 times as long, you're not just being patient. You are giving their developing motor cortex that exact repetition it needs at the exact moment it is most receptive to it. When you stop explaining and start observing, when you get quiet and watch what your child is drawn to, what they return to, what absorbs them completely, you're doing something most parents have never been taught to do. You are reading the blueprint. That is Montessori, not the shelf, the seam. And here's what I want you to hear. You cannot fully live this halfway. Not because it requires more of your time or money, but because you cannot apply a framework you do not understand. You cannot copy the activities. You can set up the trays, you can follow the instructions, but if you do not understand why, you will not know what to do. When your specific child does not respond the way Instagram videos suggested they would. Understanding the philosophy is what gives you the freedom to adapt, to trust your instincts, to stop second guessing every single day. That is the shift. From following steps to understanding principles, from activities to architecture. So I want to end with something personal. I came to this country at 18 years old, barely speaking English, with a dream that most people thought was too big for a girl from where I came from. Yet I became an attorney. And then I helped my daughter. And something inside me went completely quiet. Not quiet like peace, at least not right away. Quiet like certainty. I knew these years mattered in a way that my career did not. I knew that what happened in this window, these first years, would shape who she became in ways I could not undo later. I did not have the language for it, but I felt the weight of it. So I left my attorney career behind and I started studying childhood. Not because I had some perfect vision of what this would look like, but because I understood at a bone deep level that I did not want to waste this window. And I have spent the last decade learning how not to. That's why I talk about this the way I do. Not as a lifestyle, not as aesthetics, but as a decision that has a timeline. Dr. Maria Montessori herself wrote, open quote, if during this period of life, the child is placed in an environment that does not correspond to his needs, his mind cannot develop its full potential. Close quote. That is not pressure. That is a roadmap. The window is open right now. The biology is already working. Your child is already absorbing. The only question is, what are you giving them to absorb? Children are only little ones. But if you do it right, once is enough. If something shifted for you in this episode, I want to make sure you have something concrete to take with you. In the show notes below, grab my free Montessori sensitive periods cheat sheet. It's a full-page visual guide that shows you exactly which developmental windows your child is in right now, what their brain is naturally reaching for in each one, and simple ways to support it. No special materials required. No perfect setup needed either. Just the map so you stop guessing and start seeing. The link is in the show notes. And if this episode made something click for you, share it with a mama who needs to hear it. The one who is drowning in Pinterest saves and wondering if she's doing enough. She doesn't need more ideas. She needs to understand why any of it matters. Next, on the early years, I'm sitting down with Tim Selden, president of the Montessori Foundation, and we are going even deeper into the science and heart of this philosophy. You do not want to miss that conversation. I'll see you then. Keep raising them well.